It's always a mixture of excitement and trepidation when you prepare for the new academic year, but more so if it's your first term as a newly qualified teacher. In this film, I'm going to give you my essential do's and don'ts for how to establish yourself and your expectations quickly and positively from the very first day of your very first term. I'm Lisa Miller and I'm an education consultant specialising in behaviour management. If you find this film useful, maybe like, subscribe or even share with a colleague. Okay, let's get stuck straight in. Number 1, research your learners' needs thoroughly and adopt a solution-based mindset. Now, I can't stress this enough. You see, true presence comes from a solution-based approach as opposed to a sanction-based approach. You need to familiarise yourself with who's got a statement, who's got any additional needs requirements, or who's got any pastoral issues, so that you can seek to reduce poor behaviour triggers such as low self-esteem, not getting your needs met, or fear of failure by adapting your resources, your materials and your delivery style. Number 2, adopt a we, not me attitude towards all the rules and routines that you're going to introduce and reinforce. Now, what that means is you're putting their needs as the learners, as the rationale behind the rules. It's really important your learners feel safe, they feel protected by you, that you believe in them, and that you are most definitely the person in charge of the room. Now, what do I mean by championing? So championing is where you show you're protecting their needs whenever you're reinforcing a rule. I'll give you some examples. Mouths closed, you two, you're keeping everyone waiting. Or here's another example. So that we all leave on time. When you see me standing here, look up and listen because you know I'm going to be waiting to speak. Number 3, select a core set of calming routines which structure and ease the beginning of your lesson, the end of your lesson, and all the transitions in between. Now, it's really important you don't create too many, that they are predictable and logical, and you cue into each and every one of them. Now, I suggest you use 3-part instructions or any visual cueings that you can think of. Now, here's an example of a 3-part instruction. Let's have you standing behind your desks, face the front, and mouths closed so that I know you're ready to start. So anything that's visual, that's staged and has a purpose between each stage really helps the routine stick because it's predictable, it's logical, and it's easy to follow. Number 4, remember to perform. It's really important that you model enthusiasm and engagement with your facial expressions and your tonal range. Now, your voice is your biggest asset, so use it wisely. For example, lower it and quieten when you're helping one-to-one. Do not be the biggest distraction in the room when you're doing that. Enliven it, make it sound excited and interesting when you're giving instructions and information, and vary the tonal range of it when you're giving a set of instructions. For example, finish your sentence, put your pens down and look up so I know you're ready to start. Above all, don't overuse it. Don't be barking and shouting out instructions. You can inadvertently be a huge distraction by constantly shouting over your group. So remember, it's a performance. Perform wisely. And number 5, use what I call cabin crew mode to deal with behaviour issues. Now, just like cabin crew on a flight, you need to use your routines consistently, appear calm at all times, and reprimand discreetly. That way, your learners will feel that you're definitely in charge and that they are safe in your hands. And finally, here are my quick list of don'ts. Things that I strongly suggest you avoid doing. Number 1, don't buy into that myth about not smiling before Christmas. You will simply look miserable, unenthusiastic, unapproachable and stressed. Number 2, don't make getting silence or in fact any of your instructions being followed a waiting game. Remember, don't wait, instigate. It's really important that you facilitate these things using a series of structured instructions. Take a look at some of my other films, particularly How to Get My Class to Listen, to give you some good examples. Number 3, don't be tempted to make an example of anyone just to assert your authority. You're only going to come across as disproportionately unfair, and that is not going to earn your respect. And finally, don't forget to use your proactive behaviour management strategies. It's really important you head off a lot of issues before they begin. For example, don't forget to check for understanding when you set them on task, so you avoid a sea of hands going up once you set them off. And don't forget to give a condition for answer every time you ask a question. For example, hands up, can you remember what we did last lesson? Or hands down, I'm going to go to you by name. That way you prevent calling out. It's really important that you avoid any inconsistencies in your approach. So I hope you found this film useful. If you've got any questions at all, pop them in the comments section and I will answer them for you. If you want to find out more about the tips and strategies I suggest, then check out my other films. But you can also find me on Lisa Millard 2020 on Instagram, where I do live Q&A sessions and I post as many tips and techniques as I can as well. Okay then folks, let me know how you get on. Stay safe.